when you're able to go up on stage, you're able to do a lot more. You have a lot more control. I really believe that film is more of an editor's medium. That's the director's and the editor's medium because you don't really get to choose the performance that people get to see at the end of the day,
Yep.
right?
I heard Denzel say that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he's very much correct on that aspect. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
it's an amazing resource for you to be able to give a great performance because you really can give some of the most heartfelt performances you've ever seen because the camera's in your face. There's a sort of different type of intimacy that you have with the camera that you may not
Mm.
necessarily get from the stage, but like
Yep.
so much of it is out of your control once you leave that set. You know,
Yeah.
I'm over here thinking, yo, that one take I did, yo, that was the one. And then you watch it, you're like, that's not the take that they used. Damn, like, so the stage, and you probably heard Denzel say this too, like, no one is really holding your hand right there. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like, once some timers go up, nothing the director can do, nothing the crew can do, cast members do, like, all of that is your heart being put up on that stage. And it's your rawest form to get into that art form, you know?
Yep.
So that's why I really enjoy the stage for that aspect. I enjoy both stage and film for two different reasons. Um, all with the same sort of core, but definitely if you want to have control of what the audience sees, the stage is the best way to go.
Which do you prefer
What should I prefer?
if you
That's
had to pick
hard.
one?
That's hard, man.
Yeah.
That's a really hard question. Like, even though I recommend going on stage first, that really is a really hard question. I would say because I came from the stage, I do prefer the stage.
Really? Okay, so you kind of talked about how
Yeah.
you can kind of grasp your best moments when it comes to filming. Do you feel like you get more energy or more of a response in the stage because there's people actually there, like watching you perform
Mhm.
live, like the stuff versus in the front of the camera, like you're gonna do multiple takes and things of that nature. You can kind of how different is it in terms of like preparation?
So for me, right, when it comes to the stage and the way I prepare for the stage, it's just really all about how I put it in my body, right?
Mhm.
I'll say as a stage actor, a lot of people will say the stage actors, the hardest part for them to do is to be more subtle when they get in front of the camera. Whereas for film actors, the hardest part for them to do is to get bigger,
Mm.
right, when they're on stage, right? So it's a different kind of mental preparation. You have to understand what the performance is looking for, what's going to work for the performance per se. So I wouldn't say the way I prepare is all that different, right? I didn't catch myself feeling like, man, I got to make sure I do this differently. I
Yeah.
just had to keep in mind how I'm going to be able to execute my performance for the camera, right?
Mm.
Versus how I would execute my performance for the stage. Because they tend to require two different things in order for your performance to come across the right way to the audience, right? Being
Right.
aware of where the camera is at any point in time, making sure I'm aware of what my hands are doing, what my face is doing, right? What my body is doing, so that way it looks cinematic on camera versus
Mhm.
stage. Are the people in the back row able to see me? Can the people in the
So,
back row see that I'm feeling this way?
at what point do you feel like you should make that transition from being on the stage to like being in front of the camera? Like, when do you know that you're ready for that?
Yo, it's really up to you.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really can decide that for you. I'm gonna be very honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, this is a crazy path. Like, when it comes to art, man, when it comes to art, like, people really find their different ways into it. Some people start acting on camera and then they try the stage. Some people start acting on stage and then they try the camera. Right? It's really up to you and what you want to put your hand into and what you want to experiment with. Right? I
Yep.
would say my biggest thing is if you're gonna start with one, get into it as much as possible before you start the other.
Hmm.
Right? And that's gonna be up to you when you decide it's long enough for you to try the other thing, or you can find a way to balance it.
Yep.
It's really, really up to you and the type of artist that you are.
I like that. So you talk about how crazy this career is. What is
Mm-hmm.
the lifestyle like, bro? Because I feel like in acting, there's no real job security. Like you do one role, then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be 4, 5, 6 months you film it, then it's like, okay, well, what am I doing now? Do you ever wake
Yeah.
up and you're like, oh shit, like I don't know where I'm at, or do you just like, okay, well, this is, are you used to it at this point?
Um, nah, I don't ever feel like, yo, I don't know where I'm at because I've always expected this. This is kind of the lifestyle that I
Mhm.
chose and I knew what it was
Yep.
gonna come with. And so my main thing is just taking each and every single opportunity that I get to act and doing it, right?
Yep.
I mean, for me, it's just really making sure that I can keep a balance for everything, right? So like, all right, cool. Like, I'm able to make sure that I have this day job. Is this day job flexible enough for me to be able to continue acting? Cool. All right, dope. I'm able to make sure I'm able to do my day job, pay what I need to pay off. Also, indulge in the thing that I want to do for the rest of my life. Dope. I'm happy as long as those two things can manifest and coexist together, right?
Mm.
So that's just me. I know for a lot of different people out there, depending on where they are in life, it can be stressful managing two things at once. For sure. But for me, I've just been in such an amazing position to be pretty stable as it is at the moment, right? So
Right.
I'm riding the waves as they come.
Yeah, because you talk about a day job. Like, I feel
Yeah,
like people don't understand that actors be like, they be having jobs too. Like, it's not just, oh, they're just acting in a role. Because I
yeah,
had an interview with Manuel Ramirez. He was on Power Book Force. And he was talking about like, yo, bro, I ain't filmed since we finished Power. Like, you might go a year, 2 years, you might not work. So, kind of talk about that, how like the reality of being in that life. Like, some people have jobs or side jobs and shit like they're not just acting 24/7.
yeah, yeah. No, no, no. It's definitely true. Like that's just the reality of just this lifestyle.
Yep.
It's a reality that I've accepted, and it's a reality that's not going to change. I don't think ever. When it comes to this industry, I mean, it's not glamorous. It's not as glamorous as people expect it to be because a
Mm,
lot of people's uh exposure to actors is the top 1% of the industry,
mm.
right?
Facts.
And the top 1% are making millions upon millions of dollars per movie, per TV show, right? Per week, maybe. You know what I'm saying? You don't really know. Yeah, at that point, right?
It's crazy.
At that point, like they don't need a day job. And
Yep.
they've been able to work themselves up to that success and they've been able to garner attention and garner fans. And now their name in itself sells out movies and
Mm,
stadiums and all sorts of
mm.
things, right? So, like, they live a very different experience than the average person who just wants to act, right?
Yep.
At that point in time, you're not necessarily reliable for a business to operate, right?
Mm.
No one is looking at your name at a certain point in time and thinking, man, like, if I have him in my film,
It's
then
gonna
I'm gonna be
blow.
able to sell at a theater at least. I can attract all their fans, right? At a certain point
Yep.
now, your name is part of the business, right?
Mm.
At the moment, for a lot of us, the name is not part of the business. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. That's why you
Yep.
have to love it before you really get into it. So, that for
I
me
like that.
is that's just the reality of it.
Yep. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the business because this is the industry, right? What is it like navigating this business? Because from the outside looking in, we be hearing so much crazy shit about actors, sets. What has been like your experience with the industry, meeting people, whether it be famous
Mhm.
celebrities? Like, what has it been like? Has things been positive? I know probably on Raising Kanan, it's a
Mhm.
different experience than maybe other sets. So, what have your experience been like?
Oh, my experiences thus far has been really great. I mean, it's just like any other business that you go into. You're gonna meet good people. You're
Yep.
gonna meet not so great people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all about how you maneuver around it and making sure
Mm-hmm.
that you stay grounded and stay humble and just keep pushing and make sure you find the people that you really resonate with because you won't resonate with everybody, right?
Yep.
Um, I think what happens is some people might get a little bit too in over their heads or they might try to live a lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
that they're not actually about, and they may be
Yep.
dishonest about who they are, and it may cause more problems than it's worth, right? Whereas other people may be on the wrong set and they find out by being there and they're like, dang, like
No.
and yeah, like, and you just never know.
Yeah.
I would say the number one thing is just making sure that you have good people in your circle. I'm talking about like your representation, your management, your agents. Those are the people that's gonna really look out for you, right? So you have to make sure that you guys are on the same wavelength about what you want for your career. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
once you have that backup, you'll find yourself in better places, right?
Mm.
But sadly, not every place is great,
Yep.
and that's okay. You just have to be careful how you maneuver around.
Absolutely. So you talk
Yeah.
about representation. How do you go about that? Because I feel like that might be even more difficult than breaking into the industries. Like, how do you
Mhm.
how do you know who you can trust as your agent or as your manager? Where do you even go to find these kinds of people? And then what's the relationship like with these people,
Mm.
business wise, personal wise, etc.?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so for me, I got lucky enough to be discovered, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of other people, they may have to go out and, like you said, they may have to go out and search for their representation. For me, I got discovered. They saw me. They were actually representing someone that was one of my castmates in a show that I was doing, and they happened to see me in that show, and he asked my castmate like, "Hey, give him my card,"
Now who
right? You know what I'm
that?
saying? Yeah, exactly. Right. It was one of those moments, like one of those.
Yeah.
I like what the kid got. Let's see what he got here. You know what I'm saying? Here's my card. You know.
Hell yeah.
Um. Yeah. So I got lucky enough to do that. I never had that experience of actually having to go out and search, right? But I got really lucky because my management, they really look out for me, right? They really make sure that I got what I need, and they're willing to have those conversations with me when the time is needed to, right?
Hmm.
To really discuss what I want for my career and how I want to represent myself and what I want to do, right? Now, for someone else who may not be so lucky to necessarily be discovered, the number one thing I can say is this industry is all about putting yourself out there, right?
Facts.
Doing shows, making connections, talking to different people, going to school too. Going to school is one of the best ways for connections. Like maybe you don't necessarily need a degree to get into this business, but when
Hmm.
you're surrounded by other people who's also trying to get into the same thing as you, someone is bound to know someone else that knows someone else that knows someone else that knows someone
Yep.
else, right? So just talk to people. Talk to people as much as possible. Get into those spaces as much as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
those connections are important. Do you feel like connections are like the key in this industry in terms of outside of having like an agent and stuff like that? Like maybe you might have a relationship with a casting director who might like remember you and put you up for certain roles. How does
Mhm.
that work?
I mean, yo, yeah, it's extremely important. Like if you really want to maneuver in this business, like
Yep.
your skill is one thing, but being liked is another.
Yeah, I like you. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people should like you. People should want to work with you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like
But it
I
don't
mean,
always
yo,
be
all
like
right.
that though. That's the
You said
thing,
what?
because I feel like it don't always be like that, because you hear certain things about certain people, but it's like, I feel like sometimes maybe your talent can supersede other things, right?
Mm, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like it's not always a fair industry. That's just kind of reality of it. You know
yep.
what I'm saying? But I always value the idea of being able to come into work and people wanting to work with me.
Hmm.
People should be able to see you walk in and be like, "Oh, this is gonna be a good day. I
Yep.
like working with this person. I know he's gonna do exactly what they got to do. I know she's gonna do exactly what they got to do, and it's gonna be an easy road, right?
Mm.
I think that just goes for anything that you do, any business that you're in. You just want people to be able to have good things to say about you because at the end of the day, the circle is small in the industry, and people
Mm.
talk, and you don't know where someone else is gonna go. And if your
Wow.
headshot pops up and someone is at a table and they looking at it and they're like, "I work with this person, very talented, but I don't know. He was a little difficult on set."
Damn.
Yeah, yeah, it could really make or break whether or not you get a job. And you will never know that. That's the craziest part. No one is gonna
Right.
come up to you and be like, "This person said this bad thing about you." It'll just be like you have to put that out in the air and hope that people walk away with a good experience with you, right?
Absolutely.
And trust me, people will make it known that they had a good experience with you.
Yep.
So just make sure you be a decent individual, man. Be a decent
Yeah.
individual. As much as you care about your craft, be a decent individual.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
as an actor, right? Well, what determines what type of role you're gonna go for? For example, if your agent is coming to you and they're like, "Well, we got this role, we got this role." What
hmm
determines if you're gonna be like, "Nah, I ain't doing that," or that scene sounds like I'm. Or does it matter? Does it matter the type of role? Does it matter the genre? What
hmm
kind of determines yes or no?
So for me, the number one thing is, and my manager and I, we've definitely had this conversation about my abilities and what I want to do and what I probably don't want to do. For me, it's just the number one of like, is my character being treated with respect, right? So I'm a person with dwarfism, right? You know what I'm saying? And the thing about people who are like me in this industry is that oftentimes we get boxed into a certain type of role, right?
Mm,
There's a lot of times that we get roles that don't necessarily have a ton of depth to it, and it's more so specialized around our height and making us the butt of the joke.
Okay,
And
okay.
so we're not really playing characters that is there to resonate with the audience. We're there for the audience to laugh at us, right? And nothing is wrong with being a comedic relief. Nothing is wrong with that, but it's just how a character is written. And as an actor, I really want to delve into characters that have depth, right?
Facts. Yep.
If you're gonna make a character all about my height, that's cool. But like, yo, what's his family life looking like? What's his relationships looking like? Right? I don't want to just be there for people to just smile and laugh and wave me goodbye. Right? I
Yeah.
definitely want to be someone that people can remember. Right? So how is this character being written? It's just the number one thing for me, and that's pretty much it. Pretty much it. And my managers know that and they respect that, and so they always put me up for roles that have that because they have that faith in me that I'm able to play that.
Do you feel like the whole dwarfism thing would that put you in a position where people try to cast you for specific types of roles, like typecast, or do you feel like that's an advantage for you where you might actually get more roles?
I mean, it could be. It could be.
Yeah,
I mean, it differs for each and every single actor, and it depends what I'm looking for,
absolutely.
right? So obviously, if they it says specifically in the breakdown that they're looking for people with dwarfism, obviously that puts me over an advantage of people who don't, right?
Yep.
Because I'm not sure how much you know about it, but like, these breakdowns explain physically what they're looking for, right?
Mm.
And so my managers would never put me up for a role where they're like, "Yo, we're looking for a 6 foot tall, blue eyed, blonde haired," and they're like, "Yo, you be perfect for this, CK." Yo, like they would,
Yeah,
they
that's
would
wild.
never do that because what and who in the hell playing that? It ain't me. All
Yeah.
right. So they're always trying to make sure that they put me in the best places to succeed, right? Which is where you really, really want to go when you're an actor. And
Mhm.
if you get to a place where you can really take off, then more people is gonna want to give you more types of different roles, right?
Mhm.
But for the most part, just put yourself in a place where you can do it well.
Yep. So
Yeah.
what was kind of your first role, your first opportunity in front of the camera?
This was my biggest one. This was my biggest one. Before this,
Mm.
I only did stuff with my friends, right? Like we do things in front of the camera. I do student films, right? Um, but O-Cee is my biggest role by far, and
Bro,
this is the
that's
first
nuts.
time. Yeah,
Holy
yeah, yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Before that though, like right before that, like the same year I got casted in Raising Kanan, I did a Christmas movie.
Okay.
It was run by a small team, really great studio. It's called Mr. Santa, The Christmas Extravaganza. A really great movie. You can find it, Amazon Prime, and that was a really dope experience. And so I would probably say that's my first bigger thing that I got to do in front of a camera because
Hmm.
it's a professional set, professional crew, much smaller than Raising Kanan's crew, but still professional, right?
Wow.
So that was dope.
Yeah, that's crazy because I want to say like almost every person from Raising Cane that I've interviewed in the last few weeks has said the
Mm-hmm.
same shit. Like this was my first major role. So y'all
Yeah,
killing it, man. That's fire.
thank you,
That's
thank you.
fire. So how does this opportunity come about? Like you in the power freaking universe, bro. Like were you a fan before this shit or were you aware of the power universe? How did you kind of feel about it?
Oh, I was very. I feel like if you black, you got to be aware of this. I just think like
You
I think
gotta be.
it's hard, it's kind of hard to walk around and you don't hear nobody talk about this. Like
Yeah.
like especially
Yeah.
now I was very well aware of Power. Actually, my aunt was a huge fan of the original Power. So growing up,
Yeah.
I'll visit her in Pennsylvania, and every time like new seasons come out, she's like, "Up, my show coming on," right? And so, and I always knew that was Power, right?
Yep.
Um, Before Raising Kanan, I never really got into Power. I'll be very honest with you. Um, Raising Kanan was my real introduction to the characters that we see in the original Power franchise and
Wow.
stuff like that. So getting into that and getting able to watch that was really dope because I was like, yeah, I hear this is good, but let me see. And I wasn't expecting to be as good as it actually is. So that was a really nice surprise for me, and it
Yep.
just made me fall in love with the role more. It made me fall in love with the people more, with the
Mhm.
shows more. Like it was dope, man. It was dope. So that's my
Well,
experience with it.
how did this role come to the table? Was it your agent that found it? Was
Mhm.
it you who was like, yo, I want to be on this show? Like
Yeah,
how did it come together?
it was my manager. My manager.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of funny at the time. At the time I got this role, I just quit my day job, right? And I had flew out to Colorado to visit my girlfriend. And so I was just over there on vacation. I was like, I'm gonna hang out with her. I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do next real quick, and
Yep.
I'm gonna just relax for a little bit, right? I had just finished doing 1 million self tapes back when I was in New York City, so I was really appreciating this break I was getting.
Hell yeah.
I get an email from my manager. Yo, Cornelius, got another self tape for you to do. I'm like, hold on 1 second. I promise. I see y'all, but like, let me just take this moment to get a break, man. Like,
Yeah.
let me relax real quick. Let me relax. My manager was like, yo, I hear you. I do. It's only like 5 lines on the page though. Like you can knock this out real quick, right?
Uh,
I looked at it. I said, man, you're right. I can do this real quick. So I had my girlfriend help me. We read through the pages on the script. It wasn't for O-Cee, by the way. It was for a character with no name, right?
um, some
Mind you.
mysterious shit.
Yeah, yeah. It was with a character. Um,
Did you
didn't
know
have a
it
name.
was Power though? Like when he
Yeah,
sent it
yeah,
to
yeah.
you?
It wasn't that. That
Okay.
wasn't a secret. I knew it was for raising Kanan.
No.
But it was like with a character. Yeah, for a character that didn't have like a solid name. It was like person number one. You know. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't even remember. No, I don't even remember what they had on it. But
Wow.
I did that with my girl. I knocked that out. I gave it in. I didn't think about it again. The day I'm supposed to be going back to New York City, I get a call from my manager, and they say, "CK, they loved your tape. They actually want you to try it for something bigger."
Wow.
And yeah, and that's how the role of O-Cee was born for me, essentially. So
Wow.
it was beautiful because I got casted, and so I got to film for the next 7 months, and I was good, man. And I love that story because it's one of those stories that you kind of hear, and you hope that happens to you. Like maybe they'll give me something bigger, right?
Facts.
And it just so happened to me, and so I'm extremely grateful for that. And that's my story.
That's fire. So when you get casted for this role, right?
Yeah.
What's kind of the response? Like what's going through your head? Like, yo, I'm on Power. Like, well, what you tell nobody? Like,
Mhm.
how do you even process that? Because that's a huge win.
Yo, when I got the news, because you probably heard this from a couple of other people, but when they're thinking about you, they'll let you know like, yo, you're pinned, right?
Hmm.
We want to know if you're available for these days and everything like that. We'll let you know if you actually did get the role. So
Yep.
once they let me know I was pinned, I was hooked, right? I'm like, man, I hope I get this role. I'm really close. When I got the news that I actually got the role, mad excited. I told my mom first thing. I told my dad next, right? My dad posted on Facebook that I was going to be in Power, and I said, take that down, please.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait, he ain't know.
he
That's
ain't know.
crazy.
My dad was excited for me. You feel me? I got to give him grace.
Facts. No,
But
you
I
got
was
to. You
like,
got to.
I told you that, not for you to post. All right.
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook,
You
man.
always
I'm
gotta
like,
go to Facebook, bruh. Always.
yo, you know how parents be, man.
Yeah.
Yo, I mean, yeah, and I did tell my friends, and I didn't give too much like clues as to what I didn't even know what I was really fully doing, right? Um, but I didn't give too many clues on what I was doing or who I was gonna be with. But I will say it was a surprise that I was gonna be working with Kanan when I actually got the script.
Mm,
Because when I was auditioning for O-Cee, Kanan's name wasn't on the sides.
okay.
They
I'm
replaced it with like
curious though,
Michael
like,
or something.
did you tell your aunt and what was her response? Like, kind of said like she was a huge Power fan. She probably was freaking out.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yo. Yeah. I had to make sure I told her.
Yeah. I said, but the
Like, yo,
first
because she
person.
keeps up. Yeah, man, yo, she keeps up with all the franchises, man. So
Yeah.
I told her, she was like, oh my gosh, I'm excited to see you. And so, now she's kind of going crazy seeing me, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
yeah, that's been dope. It's been dope.
That's fire. So you find out you're working with Makai Curtis, pretty
Yeah.
much the main character of the show. What's the preparation for this role? Like, was there anything
hmm
that you did specifically? Did you go back and watch the show? Did you well what
hmm
was the prep like?
So my main preparation was to watch the show. Yes. I didn't. So in all the hype of getting pinned and stuff like that, I didn't want to watch the show, start watching the
Mhm.
show until I know I got the role,
Yep.
right? So as soon as I know I got the role, I'm like, okay, I gotta catch up. I gotta know what specifically is the show looking for. What's the vibe? How should I get into it? To this, how do I make sure that I can fit into this world,
Mhm.
right? And so yeah, I started watching it, and I didn't fully catch up before I started filming. So in the midst of filming, I was still watching it. You know, Aaliyah
Wow.
who plays yeah. So
That's
Aaliyah
crazy.
who plays Crystal, I was kind of talking to her about my experience and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and she's like, "You ain't catch up. You gotta catch up. You gotta catch up. You ain't even meet my character yet. You gotta catch up." I was like, "Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right."
Yeah.
So yeah. Watching the show was my biggest preparation, and of course, that breakdown of what you get for your character, I use that to prepare for my scenes, and then yeah, like I was doing a lot of preparation in the midst of filming too, as I was getting to know what it meant to be on a show this big, and what it meant to be in the front of a camera for that long, and so yeah, man, definitely a huge learning experience for sure.
Hell yeah. So
Yeah,
what's the mindset like? Because this is Power, right? This is a very serious, dramatic show.
yeah.
So kind of like you said in preparation, how do you kind of get into character? Like, do you pull up to set like already in the mindset of I'm O-Cee, or
hmm
is it just once the cameras go, all right, now I'm in it, or like what's it
hmm
like? Because a lot of people, some people are laughy, jokey, and friendly on set, or whatever. And some
Yeah.
people are just like locked in from day one. What's your approach?
So my approach, me, I get in the camera shortly before the cameras start rolling, right? Did I say camera? I feel like I should have said character.
Yeah.
Uh,
Character.
I get in the character shortly
Yeah.
before the cameras start rolling.
Okay.
So, um, for me, as soon as the cameras are off, I'm CK again,
Hmm.
right? Cameras start rolling, now I'm O-Cee. Like it's always been kind of easy for me to make that to differentiate like that.
Yep.
If we're doing take after take, I'll probably be more prolonged in the feeling of that, what my character is supposed to be, in the
Hmm.
moment, and so I won't leave that as easily. But as soon as we're done, or as soon as we're taking a break, I'm back to me. So nothing
Yeah, kind
too
of talk
crazy
about
that I
that
do.
because I feel like that's something that, actors always talk about is how it's kind of hard to get the character off, especially if you're filming for 7 months. Like that's a
hmm
long time being essentially just another person.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of wind down when you get out of character, when you go back to the crib and shit? Like
Mhm.
what's how do you get away from the role?
Me, I just relax. I just relax. I watch TV. I
Chilling.
play games, man. Like I just relax. Like it's very easy for me to just let go. Like once I'm not no longer in the environment, I can just let go.
Yep.
And O-Cee is a fun character to play. I loved playing O-Cee too. So there wasn't anything necessarily I think that I had to delve in when it came to like the inner workings of my soul that I had to carry
Yeah.
with me back home, right?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't anything that deep, but it definitely was pretty simple for me to just relax. And that just goes with any character that I've played throughout my lifetime. It might change in the future depending on roles I play, but
Mhm.
for the most part, yeah, it's just always easy for me to just let go.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the character because I feel like this is a very interesting character. I feel like we don't really know anything about O-Cee. It's almost as if he
Mm.
came out of nowhere, bro. Like, where does this nigga come from? So, was that how the character was written, or is this kind of mysterious lore around him? Was that something that you brought to the character?
I mean, yo, I believe it's mostly how the character is written,
Yeah.
right? Because you see him pop up in the second episode. I believe it's after that time skip,
Yep.
and no one really knows where. Like they don't really explain. in the
Nothing.
show. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
where he came from necessarily, how he came to start working for Kanan. Like, that's not something that's necessarily explained in the show very much to the people.
Yeah.
So understandably, there is that mysterious aura. You know
Yep.
the role. You eventually understand the role that O-Cee plays for Kanan
Hmm.
and the importance of that role,
Yep.
and how O-Cee has sort of divvied away from doing what he's supposed to be doing for Kanan, right? And we also see how people are reacting to that, right? But like
Absolutely.
you said, like there hasn't been too much in depth understanding of, yeah, where did O-Cee come from? He was
Yep.
written like that. He was written like that.
That's interesting. So what was it like working with Makai Curtis, the main character of the show? What was it like kind of getting the chemistry with him and
Mm.
just working with like a big name right now, like someone who's very talented, very gifted. What was that
Yeah.
like? And is there anything that you kind of learned from working with him?
Yeah, of course, man. Every time I do anything, I make sure I learn a lot and I pay very close attention. I mean,
Mhm.
for one, just to answer your first part of your question, it's a great working
Yep.
with Makai, man. Very down to earth dude. He takes being the lead of the show. I could tell he takes that mantle and really carries that around with it properly. Like my first day on set, he was just telling everybody, like, come on, man, like let's all, welcome him to set. And that means a lot because
Wow.
they get straight into business on set. You feel me?
Hmm.
So it's great to just have that moment to breathe and be like, okay, cool, like we're getting to work. But
Yeah.
people still want to say hi to me. And so yeah, I mean it was just great being able to talk with him every time we took breaks, and I got to know him more, and nothing like Kanan, I promise. Uh
I hope not.
nothing nothing like Kanan, man. He's just, yeah, an all around great actor, man. And of course I learned things, man. I mean, I'm watching him and I'm seeing how he's delving into his character. And he's also great at leading the vibe for the show, right?
Mm.
So you want to make sure that you can match that same vibe. So I got to learn from him. Okay, this is the vibe that we're doing. All right, cool. I got to make sure that I match that in this very particular scene in this moment. And how does that manifest within my character, right?
Hmm.
So I got to follow his lead on that, which was cool.
I like that. So
Yeah.
how intense does it feel on a power set? Because like you said, like it's a serious show, like everyone's kind of super locked in. Does it feel like that when you're filming? Like, do you feel like yo, I'm in power, like I'm in the '90s? Like, does it feel like that when the cameras go on?
Yo, when the cameras go on, I mean, like with any scene, there should be a shift. There should be an obvious
Yeah.
shift on what the scenario is, what the
Hmm.
stakes are for the scene,
Yep.
right? So yeah, of course there's definitely that shift, and they do such a good job at keeping you immersed as an actor. I mean, these set pieces are amazing, yo.
Yep.
The rooms that we're in, they do such an amazing job making sure that this feels like the '90s.
Yeah. The locations are
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, the
Yeah.
locations are amazing. The set pieces, the clothing, yo, it's really great. So yeah, I really do feel a shift. But as serious of a show it is, the crew is just so loving and it's so
Yep.
family oriented and it's so inviting. So like it's a great match. So you never leave set feeling like, okay, I just had a serious scene and now I gotta go back to my serious crew and now like the vibe is just serious. It's
Yeah.
always, yo, we at work, we having fun. Let's get this work done. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you also work with Joey Badass. What was it like working with Joey, especially because his character is kind of way different than what we've seen in the past? What do you
Mm.
think that shift was, or did you kind of notice the shift in his character this season? And like, what was it like working with him?
Of course, yeah. Like once I fully caught up, I got to see like the unique that everybody knew and loved,
Yep.
right? Um, and then as I'm filming these scenes, I'm seeing this new unique.
Vicious.
Yeah, vicious. Yeah, he is nothing like the unique that you see in the
Yeah.
previous seasons, man. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, I said it in another interview, man. Them scars were not for show. The
Yeah.
man is broken. Man is
Yep.
broken this season, and it was so great working with Joey Badass, just mostly because I was a fan of him before this show, right before I
Yep.
even knew he was on this show.
Yep.
I had seen him in another show called Mr. Robot, and that was
Facts.
actually my
Yeah.
first introduction. You've seen that show, right?
Fire, fire. With
Fire
Remy
show.
Malek, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing show, man. So like that was my introduction to Joey Badass as the actor.
Hmm.
And I was just a fan of his work. And so knowing that I was gonna share a scene with him, it felt like a full circle moment for me. Because I was like,
Yep.
wow, I already watched you or something else and now I get to share a scene with you. I got to share the camera with you. That was dope. Yeah.
So I'm curious because I know me, like if I was on set with these people, I'd be tripping. Like I'd be like, oh shit, that's this person. Like, yo, dude.
Yeah.
Are you that kind of person, or are you like, man, you know what I'm saying? I'm here too. Like I work here. Like are you fan out? And where do you find that balance of like, how do you do this? Like you want to get some game from them, but you also want to keep things like, professional and do your job and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll ask questions if I have them. For me, I
Yeah.
fan out internally. Like I'll be like, oh my gosh, like, oh, I
Oh
can't believe I
shit.
work with this person. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I'll show my love, right?
Yeah.
I always make sure that I take a moment if I'm first meeting someone, like, yo, listen, I've seen your work before. I love what you do, right? But for the most part, I always make sure to keep it as professional as possible,
Yep.
right? And I always just want to make sure that that love is known to the people that I'm working with, that I appreciate their work, and I'm excited to work alongside. I'm excited to share I'm excited to share the show with them,
Hmm.
right? Um, yeah, but for the most part, I don't know. I don't really like being in front of people's faces like that. You know,
Facts.
um, I just want to make sure that they know that they got love from me, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so when you're filming, right? Do you have a sense of when you killing it and when you're not? Like, do you do a take and you're like, oh shit, like I know I killed that one, or is it after when you kind of see the shots where you're like, okay, maybe I could have did this or whatever? How does
Mm,
the actor gauge when they're in pocket?
mm. I won't lie, man. I won't lie. It's hard to gauge that. At least for me, like like in front of cameras, man. You know what
Really?
I'm saying? Because for the most part, you are pretty much performing for the person you're acting with and the crew around you.
Yep.
And they make sure they keep things silent, right? They make sure they keep things silent. Everybody is in professional mode. So once they yell cut, once that scene is done, everybody's kind of stone faced, right? You know, you don't really know what's happening. Right? You
Ah,
don't know
okay,
how
okay,
people
okay.
feel about it. You can't really look at someone and be like, oh, this must have been good or this must have been bad because people don't really show. They all have their own things to do, right? Whereas on stage, right, there's always someone making a face or something. You can see it firsthand how you're doing. You can hear it firsthand how you're doing. For me, the way I gauge it is if someone comes up to me and was like, "Yo, I saw that tape. That was good," and I'll say,
Wow.
"Wow, cool, nice. Nice to know
So,
I'm doing something
so,
well."
so there's no reactions on the set when someone has a crazy scene and they're really locked in. You can't kind of tell that from how everyone's looking.
Now, I mean, you know what? Maybe I'll talk to like my other co-stars, like I'll talk to the other actors and see how they feel. But for
Yeah.
the most part, when it comes to like the crew, everyone is like invested in their own thing. And
Mm,
I'll probably hear something from someone else. Like if I wanted to ask them how it looks, right?
yeah.
They'll be honest with me. They'll be like, "Yo, that looked good." If I wanted to walk up to them and do that. Um, but yeah, for the most part, it's just hard to gauge off of looks alone on the set because everyone is so professional.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah,
obviously we're caught up. Um, we seen what happened last episode. Your character is missing, right?
yeah.
Have you been watching this season, or how do you feel about this season?
Oh, I've been on top of this season, man. What?
Yeah.
Yo, I've been keeping up just like everybody else, man.
Yep.
Yeah. I have been watching this season, and I've been enjoying the ride for sure. Just watching how these characters have been developing this season, and
Mhm.
seeing just the final product because you know what happens. Even though I know what happens because I
Yeah.
was there for the table reads and stuff. It's so cool to see how they put it on screen. That's what makes it
Mhm.
so worth it at the end of the day
Yep.
to actually watch it, sit down and watch it. Um, yeah, it's so dope to see what they chose, what they didn't choose, what they decided to keep, the storyline that they want to show because there's a good chance that maybe a choice that you made in one scene would have made the story go a little bit differently, right?
Mm.
So they
Okay.
decide to go with another take to see
Yeah.
what kind of arc that they're building for your character, right? And which
Wow.
direction they want to go. So
That's
I
deep.
think all that stuff is interesting. Yeah.
So, bro, what's it like kind of seeing yourself on TV every week though? Like, is that surreal to you? Like, that's nuts. And do you like that? Because I feel
Mm.
like I've heard some actors say, "Well, I don't really like watching myself. That's kind of cringe." Are you comfortable watching yourself and like critiquing yourself, or you don't even want to see yourself on screen like that?
I ain't gonna lie, this might make me sound a little pretentious, but I love watching myself. I really, I know, yeah, yeah. I was looking at the
Yeah, you
bottom.
got
Everyone's
to.
like, "Oh my
You
god,
got to.
I can't do it. I can't watch myself." And I'm like, "Yo, I love it. I love it."
Yeah.
I
Yep.
really, not. I really like watching myself on screen. It's like the best way for me to learn about myself, right? By watching myself, and so, and also, I watch the show, so I'm entertained. I'm entertained by what I'm seeing, and not only am I learning about the things that I do in the scene, and maybe I want to work on, or maybe I want to do differently next time. But I'm also just having a good time, enjoying it. Like I really see the person I'm playing as a different person than myself. They just so happen to share the same face as me, you know. Like that's my perspective on it for the most part. But yo, it's just been really fun. It's been really, really fun just watching myself and seeing the things that I did that maybe I didn't notice I was doing while I was there, right?
Mm,
Because eventually you get into your groove and you're not really taking too much note of what you're doing. At least for me, that's how it works for
in the
me.
zone.
So yeah, so just be seeing myself on camera and seeing that this is really cool. It's really cool.
That's fire. So I'm
Yeah.
also curious, like working with people like Makai and Joey or Big Dogs, right? Do you feel like there's a difference in them versus other people that you work with, like things that they do that maybe put them on that level? Like, what do the elite actors do that kind of make them elite versus the average actor? Like, what is it about them
Hmm.
that make them? Is it the shift? Like when they go on camera, they can make the switch. Is it
Hmm.
the emotions? Like, what is it that kind of makes an actor great?
Wow. Wow. That's an interesting one. Well, what is
I
it that
want to
makes
know
it
because I be
great?
seeing Joey that last episode, that first scene. I was like, yo,
Yeah, man.
what's going
He's been
on? Like, killing it.
yeah he's putting in the work, man.
Yeah.
Putting in the work. For me, and here's the number one that I think that I just noticed is just the choices that you make, right?
Mm.
Um, the choices that you make as an actor, the choices that you decide to make on the way you say lines,
Yep.
each take, what are you offering for each take? Are you giving the director choices, right, to make in terms of what takes they want to choose for the final cut? Um, for me, it's always just about it's always about choices. How are you challenging the other people around you,
Mm.
right? How are you making them react to your character? And what do you know that maybe they don't? How can you bring that to the scene? For me,
Yep.
I think that's one of the biggest things. That's one of the noticeable changes on what makes people great. And the beautiful thing about this art form is that people are going to make different choices. You know what I'm saying? And so you get to see how bold they want to be.
Yep. So you
Yeah.
talk about the director too. Like, what's kind of the relationship with the directors? How much collaboration is done with them? Like, do you talk to the director before you're about to shoot a scene? Does he tell you kind of what his vision is for this scene, for your character, what he expects
Hmm.
from you, or do they kind of just let you make the decisions? Because after playing someone for a certain amount of time, they probably have a level of trust in you to
Right.
like make the decisions for what you think your character would do.
Yeah. 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 No. No. Definitely for sure. We work with a different director each and every single episode,
Yeah.
right? So some of the
Hmm.
more uh uh longer lasting cast members of the show have probably already had experiences with some directors because they bring some directors back to
Yeah.
direct more episodes. So they already know how the director works. But for me, each and every single director was new to me, right? So they
Wow.
all have their own ways of operating and how they want to direct the scene. Interesting thing is though, they all kind of follow a similar format, right? You walk in on set, we'll read through the script really quick. We'll block it out to see what we want it to look like, what choices we're planning on making,
Mhm.
and how may that look for the camera. And just making sure that everything gets sorted out in that aspect. And then, of course, as we get into it, the director is going to start giving you notes, start asking you to do certain things. start trying to see how they can, what they can pull out of you essentially if they feel like they can do something more, right? Um, that's what a lot of directors do, but they do it in different ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. That's
Yeah.
interesting that you said that every episode it's a different director. Why is
Mhm.
that?
Why is that? You know what? I honestly believe it's to. I honestly believe it's just to give more people chances
Mm,
to, yeah, to sort of keep it fresh.
yeah. Because
Yeah, yeah,
that's interesting because you would expect like one director to just film the whole thing from the outside
right.
looking in because maybe one director might not have the same vision or perspective on how, they
Mhm.
want things filmed. So that's really dope that wow, every episode is that's crazy.
Yeah, man.
So are we going to see your character again?
Wow, wow, man, that's a great question. You want to
Answer
know the
carefully.
best way? You want to know the best way to answer that question? You want to know
I
the
already know
best
what
way
you're
to
going to
answer that?
say. Tune
Yeah,
in to
yeah,
the
yeah.
next
You gotta watch the show.
episode.
You gotta watch the show, man.
Hell yeah. Fact. So, is there a chance you could be in season 5?
You want to also know the best way to answer that question?
Media
Watch the
train,
show, man.
huh? So, is there any role that you have this like a dream role? Like, this is my dream role. I want to play this role. This is where I know I would flourish and be able to show all my talents.
Whew, wow. Yeah, yeah, nah, definitely for sure. My dream role, I've always wanted to do an action movie.
Mm.
Always wanted to do an action movie. Yeah, I think that'd be really fun. I think that'd be really interesting.
Yep.
Um, I'm a very physical actor, so I love the physicality that it takes to be able to do action movies.
Mm.
And so, if ever given an opportunity to do a TV show or movie like that, I would take it in a heartbeat.
Okay, okay, okay. So,
Yeah.
what do you feel like is your strongest asset as an actor? Like, what do you feel like you do best?
Mm. What I do best. Wow. Fab, you got like a notepad of questions or something like that, bro? Like,
Bro,
where
I
you be
just be
getting
going off the I just be going
off the
off the
dome?
I don't
Nah,
like
man.
my
Yo.
preparation is just talking to you, you respond, and then I go off of
Uh-huh.
what you say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. Honestly, one thing that I have been enjoying just personally a lot about my performance in this
Yeah.
season is my reactions.
Mm.
Yeah, I love. I think one of the most powerful things to do as an actor is be able to know how to react. So those moments where you're not saying lines, what is your body doing? What is your face doing?
Mm.
Because those are the moments that really showcase whether or not you're in the scene or not. Something is
Facts.
happening. You could be in a moment just waiting for your next line, right? And people can see that on your face that you're just waiting to say your next line.
Yep.
But are you genuinely living in the moment? And so I think I've been doing pretty good with the way I've been reacting. I think that's been giving a lot of details
Yep.
on who my character is. Um, I think it's just really powerful way to keep the person I'm working with invested as well, and to know
Yep.
that the words that they're saying is hitting me, it's hitting my character, right?
Mhm.
So I really like that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I feel like
Yeah,
Patina Miller does that very well, where like she'll be in the scene, but the camera's on her, she's not saying nothing. The other person is talking, but you just kind of see like she's working still. And I'm just
yeah,
curious, like, as an actor, how do you go about getting into certain emotions? Like, say you got a scene where you got to cry, like you got to get super emotional, you got to lock in. How the hell do
yeah.
you prepare for that, bro? Like, do you go to a dark place where you think about some shit you went through, or like, where do you even begin to prepare?
Wow, wow. I mean, my answer it works differently for
Mm,
each and every single person that has to prepare for a scene like that.
facts.
Um, some people start preparing the night before. Some people start preparing the day of. Some people start preparing as soon as the scene starts and just they really try to get themselves there mentally. Like if you're going into a scene like that, I really do think you have to get your body ready for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
one
How do
way or
you
another.
yo,
Yeah.
how do you prepare? Because I feel like you guys are doing like multiple takes, right?
Hmm.
So it's one thing to just have an emotional scene one time, but you got to keep doing that over and over and over and over and
Hmm.
over. That has to be like draining versus maybe if you got an angry scene, I feel like it's probably easier to come off with rage
Hmm.
than it is to be
Yeah.
emotional. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna work differently for every single person. Um, just really keeping yourself in the moment and really staying authentic to the script. I mean, those multiple takes they are there to give options, and it's
Mhm.
also there for you as an actor as well to make different choices as well, right? So maybe not every take you're gonna have tears streaming down your face. You might
Yeah.
have one or two good takes where that's happening, right? But for the
Mm.
most part, um, just making sure you stay in that moment as best as possible. And what happens, whatever overtakes you, let that happen. But for the most part, some people got better tear ducts. I'm not gonna lie. Some people can really just cry on command.
Bro, I don't know how they be doing that shit. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
like some people are just capable of doing stuff like that, and so maybe
Yeah.
they are able to just do that every single take, right? But for the individuals that may not be capable of doing that, the best thing to do is just stay in the moment. Yeah.
Got it. So you talked about one thing you liked about your character is the way that you kind of react, right?
Hmm.
How do you make sure that your reactions are genuine? Like, because you know the script, you read it, you already know what's kind of gonna happen. How do you
Yeah.
make that come off on screen like you didn't know? You know what I mean? For example, like the scene with Patina seeing Unique again, right?
Yeah.
Like you already know that was gonna happen. So how do you prepare for that? How do you try to make that as genuine as possible on camera? Do you wait to read the script?
Mm.
Or is it like, nah, I prepare before?
For me, I'm very preparation oriented. Hold on one
No.
second. I think my phone might be dying. Is it alright if I grab my charger?
Yeah, yeah, you good, you good, you good, you good.
Hold on one second. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
be right back.
All right, all right, all right.
All right,
Yo.
should be good. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Um. So what was I?
Uh, preparation.
Preparation. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot of homework.
Mm.
I do a lot. I do a lot of homework. I really try to get into it. And my main thing is I just want to make sure I know my lines well enough to where I don't have to think about it in the scene. I hate having to think about my lines within
Yeah.
a scene, right? The best thing to make it authentic for me is just thinking as a character in the moment. Like beyond simply saying the words as a character, what is my character thinking in this very moment? I think that's how you keep it authentic.
Yep.
I think when the audience looks at it from the camera, right, they're able to see what you're thinking through your eyes.
Mm. Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you look at somebody's eyes, if you look at a scene real closely, like look at their eyes and try to guess what they might be thinking in this moment. Are
Wow.
they hurt? Are they happy? Are they amused? Like what's going on?
Yep.
Right? And so it really takes it just takes practice to make sure you can keep it as authentic as possible.
Mhm.
Um, but for the most part, think as your character. Yeah.
All right. Authentic. So, is there any roles that you have upcoming that you can speak about, that you want to speak about, that you want to highlight, bring to light?
At the
Anything
moment,
you're working?
man, can't lie. Nothing is cooking at the moment for the people, but this is not the last you've seen of your boy.
Not the last we see of O-Cee or you?
I listen. I ain't say all of that.
Hey, hey, you gotta be careful.
Yeah, hey man, listen. You
Yeah.
over here trying to put words in my mouth. I said your
Hey,
boy's
hey, hey.
Cornelius. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just clarifying. So is there any other anything I missed? Anything you want to kind of talk about, bring to light? Anything else?
Man, I think you did a perfect job.
Appreciate it.
Asking me these questions, man. For the most part, I guess the only thing I have to say is, yo, continue watching the show. Um, I hope you continue to enjoy it
Yep.
and keep doing your thing, man. I love what you do. This was
Appreciate
a
that, bro.
pleasure. It was a pleasure. You just hopped on my. I didn't know about you until like a week ago. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know about you
Yeah.
until like a week ago. Like you started hopping on my For You page on TikTok.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, man. I'm like, oh, Mr.
Yeah.
Power, man. He seems like a cool. And then he reached out to me. I'm like, oh shoot, yo,
Yeah, I didn't even know you was on social media. It was my boy Fish who did the interview with you. Who was like, I seen him. He sent the interview to me, and I was like, he on IG, like, send me that shit right now. I gotta get on it. And then yeah, that's how I kind of connected. So
nice.
shout out my boy Fish.
Yeah, he's great, man.
Yeah.
He's great.
Um, but yeah, I really appreciate you, man. Um, Again, congrats on the show. This is huge. As a big Power fan, uh, I'm a fan. And even though the
Thank
fans be hating on your character, they still love you though. Like if you getting hate from Power fans, it's a good thing. Trust me, cause
I'm on it.
you, yes, sir.
I'm
So,
on it.
yeah, after we done filming, just stay for like a couple seconds so we can get the whole upload thing, and then we
Good.
we good. Yes,
Sure.
sir. And that's a wrap.